Hi everyone, my name is Gerald and today I will be showing you how to create a 3D environment scenery inside Unreal Engine 5. Now, before we start, make sure you already have UE5 installed in your computer. If not, you can go to Epic Games to download the Epic Game Store, and then after installing the Epic Game Store, install Unreal Engine 5. Next, let's launch the UE5 early access. Let's create a new blank project. Click the blank and then choose a project location where you want your project to be saved. Make sure your starter content is checked on, and then let's change the project name into, let's just call this environment scenery. Okay. Next, what we want to do is go to the content drawer at the bottom left, and then right click on the content and then create a new folder. Let's call this new folder environment landscape. You can name it whatever you want. And inside this folder, let's create a maps folder. This is where we will save our map levels. Now let's create a new map level by right clicking inside the maps and then choose level. Again, let's name this to whatever you want. I'm just gonna name this as landscape. Now double click the new level that we just created and then just click save selected. Now our world is dark, that's why we can just see blacks, but we can see grid. Now let's create a light. So we can go to the create at the top left of our screen, click it, then go to lights and then click directional light, and then create a sky atmosphere. We can do this by going to create, visual effects, and sky atmosphere. Click your directional light at the world outliner and then scroll down to, now just type in atmosphere on your search bar and then check the atmosphere sunlight. There we go. Now if we rotate the directional light, you can see the time of day changes, but we don't want the snapping feature for our rotation. We can turn it off by clicking the enable or disable snapping object at the top right of your viewport, and then we will have a much smoother rotation. Next is we will be making the skylight. So again, let's click create, go to lights and then skylight. Now that we have our skylight, click skylight inside the world outliner and then search for real-time capture. There we go. Make sure this is checked. And then next is we have this black void under our world. We can fix this by creating a exponential height fog. Let's go to create and then go to visual effects and drag or click exponential height fog. There we go. Okay. Next is you will want to have the landmass plugin installed in your computer to create landmass. You can do this by going to edit at the top left and then click plugins and then type landmass. Make sure this is checked and then just press yes and then restart your project now. Okay, let's close this window. Let's open up our created map level and then we're back. Next is click the landscape editor or Shift+2 on your keyboard. Then we'll see this green grid. We're just gonna leave the default values as it is and then just click create Next is we'll be adding a texture in this landmass. Let's go to content drawer and let's dock this in our layout so that we don't have to keep clicking the content drawer each time we needed it. So click that there so it will be fixed into our layout. And then let's go to content and then let's create a folder called materials. Actually, let's put this inside the project folder that we have. Drag and drop it and then click move here. And then inside the materials folder, right click and then create a new material. Let's call this landscape layer or matte. Double click the new material, and then inside the new material, open up the content drawer again, and then make sure you have the starter content installed or checked when we started the project. If not, if you don't have it, just click the add and then go to add feature or content pack, and then go to content and then just click starter content, then add to project. Okay, let's go back to our project. Open up your content drawer. Let's go to content, click content folder, and then let's search for T ground underscore grass. Let's drag and drop this base color and normal. This is the normal texture and this is the base texture. Let's drag and drop this into our material graph. Okay, let's put it right here. Next is we will want to have the dirt texture. So let's for our dirt texture we will be using rust texture. So again, let's click the base color and the normal map, drag and drop it to our material graphs. Okay, just gonna organize it right here. Next is let's create a layer blend so that we can blend these two textures. So right click anywhere that is empty and then type in landscape layer blend. There we go. Inside the layer blend, click it, click this node, and then inside this layer blend, go to the left panel and then click add to add layers. Let's add two because we have the ground or the grass texture and the dirt texture. Let's rename our first layer to grass texture. Next is the dirt texture. Okay. Next is create their own material attributes. We can do this by clicking this last node over here and then search attribute at the left side panel and then just check the use material attributes. Next is right click on an empty place inside the material graph and then let's search for make material attributes. Okay, let's put right here for the grass texture. We can duplicate this node by pressing Ctrl W. Then let's put it right here. Just gonna organize it. Okay. Next is we actually need roughness for these textures because without roughness it's gonna look like or it's gonna have some reflections or mirroring effect for each texture. So let's create a constant. We can do this by right clicking in an empty layer and then type in constant. Let's put it right here and then let's convert this node into a parameter. Convert to parameter, but you can do it by right clicking the node and then convert to parameter. Let's change the name to roughness and then let's change the value to 1. But first let's erase this text that we used inside the search bar. Let's go to material expression scalar parameter and let's change this to 1. Okay. Let's duplicate roughness so that we can add it to our dirt texture layer. Duplicate it by pressing Ctrl W. Now that is all set up, let's connect our colored texture to the base color, and then the normal map to normal, and the roughness to roughness. Let's do the same to our dirt texture, the color to base color, the normal map to normal map, and then roughness to roughness. Then let's click the output node of the dirt texture and connect it to the layer blend and make sure it is connected at the layer dirt texture. Okay, let's do the same to our grass texture. Then let's connect the layer blend node to the final node. Okay, you should see a black spear at the preview. Let's save this. And then let's close this window. Now we will need to create a landscape matte instance or an instance to the material that we just made. So we can do this by right-clicking the material that we made and then create material instance. Let's leave the name for now. Okay. Now go to your world outliner and click landscape, and then scroll down and then look for landscape material. Then let's drag and drop the material instance that we've made into the landscape material. That should turn our landscape into something bluish. And then next, let's assign a base color to our landscape. You can do this by going to Paint, to the Paint tab, scroll down. Now you will see our grass texture and dirt texture at the bottom of the Paint tab. We can assign the grass texture to our landscape by clicking this plus icon and then click Weight Blended Layer. And then just click Save. Let's wait, and then there we go. Next is a crucial thing, by the way, is we need to have something that will help us guide us in our scaling for our 3D assets. To do this, we should add a human 3D model. So we can do this by going to our content browser, click Add, and then Add Feature or Content Pack, and then add the third person right here. Add third person, and then add it to our project. Okay? Now, as you can see in our content browser, a third person and third person BP is added. Also mannequin and geometry. Now we would want to grab a mesh, a human scale mesh from our mannequin folder, and then inside the character, go to mesh, then drag and drop SK mannequin into our project. Okay, there you go. Let's go back to our select editing mode by pressing Shift 1 or just clicking this icon at the top over here. Okay, next is let's create a camera. Click Create, go to Cinematic, and then click Cine Camera Actor. Okay, let's set up this camera by clicking the perspective button at the top left of your viewport, and then change this to Cinema Camera Actor. Let's move our camera around and set it up right here. Okay, now you can play around with the settings at the Details tab right here at the right side panel. Let's change the film back to 16 by 9 DSLR. Lens settings to 30mm. Let's leave the settings for now. Let's click our scenic camera actor and then press Ctrl 1 on your keyboard. Now that will bookmark this this position for the camera. So if you move it somewhere else and then press 1, it will revert back to where you bookmarked it. Just like that. Okay, let's go back to our perspective camera by clicking the stop pilot at the top left of your screen. And then let's add some 3D assets. Let's save this project. Now go to our content browser and click add and then add Quixel content. It will open up the Quixel bridge. Make sure that you are signed in into your Quixel bridge. If not, it will ask you to create an account or sign in with your Epic Games account. Now that we're here, search for rocks, and then click 3D assets, and then pick the rocks that you'd like to be added in your project. I actually already picked and downloaded rocks for this project, so I won't be downloading rocks anymore, but you can download rocks by clicking one, for example, just like this, clicking this image, and then click download at the bottom right of the window, and then just click add, and this will automatically add it to your project. So for me, I'll just add all my current or downloaded rocks. So all the rocks are now imported to this project. You can check it by going to your content browser, and then you will see the Megascan folder inside the 3D assets. These are all your 3D assets that you've downloaded inside Quixel. Now, to make this easier for us to choose the 3D assets or 3D static meshes, let's click the add an asset filter and then click static mesh. Next is we will be converting all this 3D assets into nanites so that we can save or boost our performance for this scenery. So we just shift, click the first one, and then click the last one to select all, then right click and then nanite enable. Alright, now you can see a star icon for each 3D asset. Let's click save. Next is we'll be dragging the rocks that we want inside our scene, just like this. Now you can move the 3D assets by pressing W on your keyboard. It will give you the position transform, R for scale, and E for rotate. Now for this part, just play around with your 3D assets and place them to wherever you want it to be. Now to help you with setting up your scene, let's split our viewport into two. You can do this by going to or by clicking the burger icon at the top left of your viewport, and then go to layouts and then click two panes. Okay, now let's change this right pane into our camera and then our left pane into our perspective camera. Now let's start setting up the scene. Now I'm just gonna time lapse this this part because it's gonna take a while to put all this 3D assets and set it up. So I'll see you in a few seconds. Okay, so next, we don't want a grass texture to our scene right now. So what we want to do is go to landscape editing mode, and then let's go to paint, and then scroll down, and then go to dirt texture, and then click the plus icon, and then weight blended layer normal. Click save, and then let's pull down our brush size down, and then let's start painting. Oh, we need to click the dirt texture right here. All right, then let's start painting. All right, that looks much better. Let's go back to our select editing mode. Let's look around. Let's click save or control save. Let's look around, and then this looks nice. This looks nice. Now we want to add some clouds. Now to add some clouds, just click create again, visual effects, and then create volumetric clouds. And there you go. Next is we will want to add some grass in our scene. Now to do this, we will go to add on our content browser, add Quixel content, and then let's look for grass. And then go to 3D plants, and then choose whichever grass you want to be used in our project. So for me, I already picked a grass, and that's this right here. I'm just gonna add this to my project, and then let's go to Megascan folder, and you'll see a new folder called 3D plants. Now let's click static mesh, and here we are. You can see all the grasses that we will be using inside this project. Now to add some grass, let's go to foliage editing mode. Click Shift 3 or click the top icon right here. Let's save this project first. Save all. Now let's close this content browser so we can see the entire panel on our foliage. And then as you can see, Unreal Engine already added our downloaded asset to its brush collection. But we will be using only three meshes or three grasses. So I'm just gonna pick randomly. You can pick it by making sure it's checked. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so before we paint over our landscape and add some grasses, make sure that the static meshes is unchecked or turned off. Default it's checked, but make sure this is unchecked. It's because we don't want our grass on top of our rocks. Okay, next we'll just paint over or paint wherever you want your grasses to be. Just gonna paint it right here. Paint some over here. As you can see, you can control the brush or the density of your brush at the left side panel. I'm just gonna change this to about 0.5 so it will scatter the grasses more. I don't want them to be so close to each other. Okay. Now let's go back to our editing mode, and then as you can see, our scene now looks good. It looks realistic, and we will want to have the grasses move because right now they're just static. We can do this by going to the content browser. Let's erase this in our search bar. Go to Megascans, 3D plants, wild grass, and then look for the instance, the material instance for the grasses. Double click the instance and then just type in the search bar, enable wind, enable grass wind, check it, and then check two checkboxes. Let's wait for the compiling shader. Okay, then save. Let's close this window. Let's do it to the other one. Type in enable grass wind. Check both checkboxes. Now save it and then close this window. Now you can see that our grasses are now moving. Okay, this looks good at the moment. We can play around with the sun. Okay, so I think the problem with this is because of the cloud. It's too cloudy for us to see the sun. So what we're going to do here is go to our world outliner and then click volumetric cloud. And then let's just change the layer height. Let's change the height to 5 and the bottom altitude to, I guess, around 10. Okay. Now again, let's play with the sun. So you can see, I want to do a sunset concept. All right, we forgot to do something, and that's fixing the fog. Because right now, if we change into a nighttime scene, there's still light. It's just blue. Just like that. Now to fix this, let's go to our settings at the top right, then go to project settings, and then type in fog, and then check support sky atmosphere affecting height fog, and then click restart now. Then just save selected. Let's close this window. Again, let's open our content drawer and then go to our project folder, then maps, and double click landscape, our main project level. Again, let's put this back to cinema camera actor. Next is, let's go to our exponential height fog in our world outliner and then change the fog in scattering color to black. Do the same down here at the directional in scattering color. Change this to black and then let's save. And then as you can see, it's too dark. It's all dark. Now let's again play with our sun. Control plus L and then move it around. There we go. And now it's fixed now. Now we can do a sunset feel to our scene. Let's actually use a 3-point grid. Go to perspective at the right side panel and then change this to cinematic viewport. And then at the top right, enable grid 3x3. And right now we are not in our main camera, so again go to perspective and then change this to cinema camera actor. There you go. As you can see, there's different exposure between our perspective and our camera. We can actually fix this by creating a visual effect called post-process volume. Now inside this post-process volume, let's look for infinite extent. Make sure this is checked and then go search exposure and then check the metering mode change this to manual. Exposure compensation, check it, and then change this to around 9 or 10. Now, by the way, if you're getting a red text that's saying lighting needs to be rebuilt, we can just go to build up here and then click build lighting only. Alright, after that's done, now you will see some errors over here. Just don't mind it. Just close it. Okay, so our error is now gone, but still our scene is still too dark. Now go back to post process volume and type in exposure. Let's play 10 or 11. Alright, 11. 11 works fine. Next is I would like to add some god rays or light shafts. We can do this by going to directional light. Let's remove our recently searched text and let's go to light shafts and enable this and enable shaft bloom. As you can see, our sun is directly into our sun or into our camera, so I think I'm gonna pull back the rock that I've moved earlier. Okay, next is we'll be adding some lens flare. We can do this by going to our scenic camera actor and then type in lens flare and then just check this box right here, intensity. So if we move our camera in front of our sun, as you can see, there's a lens flare going on. So let's go back to our bookmark position. And then let's add some temperature to make it feel like a desert. Let's go back to our directional light and then type in temperature. Temperature, you can just play with this around. You can do an orangey one, too warm, or cold. Okay, just play around with the setting. I'm gonna go for or about 4000. There you go. Let's go to our post-process volume and add some saturation or color grading. Type in saturation. Check the saturation under global. Okay. Then play around with the settings. I guess I'm just gonna go with 1.03. I think it's too yellowish, don't you think? I guess I'm gonna dial back the yellow color or temperature. 1500. Okay. Maybe move the sun a little bit so we'll be seeing a bit of lens flare. Okay, I think I pretty set up my scene. And now let's create some camera animations. So to do this, click the cinematics at the top left and add level sequence. You can just save it here or anywhere. Then let's drag the sequence window at the bottom of our screen. And then go to World Outliner. Let's make some space. Just like that. Go to click the Cine Camera Actor, drag and drop it to your sequencer. And then again, let's add some space. And then let's start at 000 and add a keyframe to our transform. This is the transform of our camera. Add a keyframe. Now let's move our keyframe to 150. Then let's move our camera a little bit. Kind of like that. And then click add a new keyframe. Now if you play this, it's gonna look something like this. Just a simple panning camera motion. Now let's hide our mannequin. Let's just delete that. Look for sk underscore mannequin inside our world outliner. Delete, press delete. And then let's click save. And let's watch it again. Okay, so I'm gonna add some animation to the sun. So to do this, we go to our world outliner and click and drag the directional light into our sequencer. Scroll down, and as you can see, there's no transform option. We can add transform by clicking track plus track and then just click transform. Let's go to our 0 keyframe, first keyframe, then click transform, add new keyframe, collapse the transform, and then go to rotation. As you can see, this is where we can control our sun. I'm just gonna undo that. Now let's go to our last frame, which is the 150. And let's move the pitch of our sun to this. So it kind of looks like a hot desert. And then let's play this. And there we go. We have a simple animation and camera motion. Now you can play around with the animation a bit, but for now I think this is good for me. Now to render this scene, click the render icon over here, and then we will change this to PNG, image sequence PNG. And then let's change the resolution to 1920 by 1080. And choose an output directory. I'm just gonna save it where my project folder is. I'll create a new folder and I'm gonna call it sequence. Okay, select folder, and then that's about it. Let's click capture movie, save selected, then let's wait for it to render. Okay, once that is done, let's go to our desktop and then open up the project folder. Let's open up where we saved the images. As you can see, it's a lot of pictures. And what we can do is open up our Adobe After Effects or Premiere Pro. I'm gonna use Adobe After Effects for this one. Right click the project panel and then import file. Let's go to our desktop and open up where our sequence is. Click one image and make sure the PNG sequence is checked. Then click import. Now click this asset down to this composition icon, and then it's gonna automatically create a composition for that fits the PNG sequence. Now if we press space, as you can see, there we go. And that is it for this tutorial. In the future, I'll try to create a more advanced 3D environmental scenes and with a much more in-depth explanations. But for now, I'd like to thank you for being at the end and watching the entire tutorial. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this tutorial to your friends. And feel free to comment down below if you have any more suggestions for uh, Unreal Engine tutorials. And that's it. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.